While social media has allowed so many of us to start and grow a business in an easier way than the traditional way to start a business was in the past, sometimes keeping up with social media feels like a freaking game of whack-a-mole, right? There is always a new platform popping up, and we're always getting that shiny object feeling where we think we need to be on that platform too and strike while the iron is hot over there. I mean, it all comes down to people tell us that we're missing out by not being on that platform or this platform. And sometimes it's not even about keeping up with the different platforms, but keeping up with all the platform changes and different features that they have available. Instagram. If you are just completely exhausted with social media, let's get that solidarity together and hit that like button so that you know you aren't alone and we're all feeling this exhaustion together. Because let's be real, you didn't start a business to be on social media, but you need to use social media to continue to drive traffic to your offers, to your courses. So then what ends up happening is this lopsided balance of what do we really spend our time on? Creating the social media content, or do we spend time with those clients and those people that buy our courses, right? Where are we really needing to spend our time? So here's my first tip for creating a social media strategy that's going to work for you. Pick one platform, but pick the platform that is going to get you the biggest bang for your buck. Here's the deal. You're spending most of your time creating Instagram content or contemplating the thought of TikTok. The reason why you're spending so much time on social media is because content expires fast, meaning the lifespan of content on these platforms are less than 48 hours. So you have to create new content so that it's alive, and you're creating this content on this 48-hour cycle. And that's one reason why it's so exhausting. You know, I choose YouTube. And the reason why I choose YouTube is because my content does not expire after 48 hours. In fact, it lives and it grows for weeks and even years. My very first tip to tackling your social media strategy is pick one platform, preferably YouTube, where you're going to get the biggest bang for your buck. Tip number 2 for picking a social media strategy that works for you is to repurpose your content the right way. Repurposing content, yes, 1,000 times yes, but you can't just throw up content wherever you want without actually thinking about each platform and how people consume content on that platform. Because if you're just doing like a spray and pray method of throwing up the same content on every single platform, you're actually wasting your time doing that. I see this one all the time, and it's just it drives me insane, but when you take a Facebook Live or even a podcast episode and repurpose it on YouTube, save yourself the hour it took you to put that video up on YouTube, because it's going to do absolutely nothing for you. Think of it as like publishing a YouTube video on Pinterest. People aren't going to Pinterest to watch 10, 15-minute long videos, right? They're going for those pretty images to figure out how to organize their life, right? This is another reason why I personally think your entire social media strategy should be built around one weekly YouTube video. Because if you're putting your time into one YouTube video that's going to get you the biggest bang for your buck, it's going to live longer than any other piece of content, but you're able to pull clips from your YouTube video and publish it on Reels, on TikTok, and you can really pull out the pieces that are actually going to make sense on those platforms. And you can also create Instagram carousels by just pulling out the text pieces of the main parts of that video. This is when you really start to repurpose content the right way. The third tip I have for you for creating a social media strategy that actually works is creating content that encourages engagement. And I'm going to tell you, as a fellow introvert, I know what it feels like to just want to put your content out there, check that on your to-do list, and like walk away. But social media content is supposed to be social. You have to create content that encourages people to have that communication with you, have that conversation with you, and you have to actually take the time to respond back to these people. That is where you're going to start developing relationships and building a community full of people that love what you are doing. One thing that I've done for every single YouTube video recently to make it more engaging is once I write my YouTube script, I go back through it 2 more times to figure out how can I add pieces of engagement. If you noticed earlier in the video, I asked you to like this video, and I will also drop different places where I will ask you to comment below so I can open that dialogue with you one-on-one. So what better place than to ask you to comment below what social media platform right now is really stressing you out. Like you want to be on it, but it just stresses you out. It feels too overwhelming. Moving right along, this next tip I have for you for creating a social media strategy that works is a little bit longer, and it is to set a goal, create a 90-day plan, and stick with it for the full 90 days. Really try to avoid squirrel syndrome and abandoning ship on this plan, and I'm going to tell you why. Creating a social media plan without having a goal is kind of like running a race that you don't know where the finish line is, right? Is it a 5K race? Is it a 10K race? Is it a freaking marathon? You don't know when to stop because you don't know when it's over or if you actually completed it or if you were successful at all. That's the same way you want to think about creating this initiative or this plan for your social media. I had to do this personally because I was just throwing up social media to throw up social media. Like I know as a business owner, I need to create social media content, but what does that mean? What is my social media content doing for me? So what I decided to do was break this down into quarters. So basically 90 days, because I felt that I could work with 90 days. I personally felt it was something that I could stick with, but it wasn't going too far ahead for me because honestly, I can't think a year in advance. I actually love 90-day planning so much that we do a 90-day plan every single quarter inside my mastermind 10K on replay. We all get together and we map out what we're going to do in the next 90 days. So again, we have a goal in place. We know what our initiative is, and then we can track whether or not that goal, that plan was successful or not. I also feel 90 days is a long enough amount of time to collect some solid data. But again, not too long that you get bored. In fact, go ahead and leave me the comment "that's me" down below if you tend to get bored with a plan. Like you set a plan in place and you hardly even get through it 2 weeks, so you're bored and you ditched it because you got bored. So during this 90-day period, here are some things you should be looking at or tracking to determine if you're reaching that finish line. You can set goals for your content like how many likes you want to get, how many comments you want to get, how many shares, how many views as well. For us here on YouTube, one thing that we look at is first of all, impressions. Are we increasing our impressions? And also we look at click-through rate. And then we also, again, another metric that we always look at is audience retention. Now over on Instagram, what I'm looking at is engagement. So are people saving? You may also want to look at your landing pages and seeing which platforms are getting you the most traffic. So I would recommend picking 2 of these ideas that I mentioned because you can have too many goals and sometimes your content can't do all of the things at once and you need to create specific content for the goals that you are creating. So set 2 goals and try really hard to stick to that plan for 90 days. Look, you don't need a special Instagram 9 or some strategic hashtag tactic for Instagram to create a social media plan that works and it works for you. You need a social media plan that doesn't burn you out, accomplishes the goals that you set out for it to accomplish, and gets you social with your people. I think this goes without saying, but I love YouTube for simplifying my social media plan. And if you want to hear why I think that YouTube may be the answer to your social media woes, watch this video on your screen right now because it's going to walk you through all the reasons why I think you need to finally get serious with YouTube in 2022 and beyond. Go ahead, click that video and I'll see you over there.